Hello my friends, it's Justice Anthony Knight filling in for Lisa Haven, and welcome to the Justice Knight Report. And to get this out of the way right away, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I certainly hope you will. I want to have the opportunity to bring you content just like this, and as uncomfortable it is to say, we are on what could be the threshold of a modern day artificial antichrist. Or a psychopathic AI, and those aren't sensational headlines, my friends. These are real happenings right around us. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology recently released, within the past week, their AI called Norman. Yes, Norman from the psycho thriller. And for a reason. Because Norman, and you'll hear at the end of this broadcast, gave some replies to a Rorschach test that are terrifying and horrific. But how did this happen? Well, how it happened was through the algorithm and the programming itself, which is always run, yes, by a person, a human, who's taking these artificial intelligence either positive or negative. And if we don't control who's creating this artificial intelligence, who's controlling our future, we control nothing. And they control everything with whatever outcome they so desire. So in this modern day growing world of 5G and artificial intelligence and quantum computers and all the wonderful terminology, what is being created is an Internet of Things, a big data megaplex that's going to be able to relay a message faster than ever before, more consistent than ever before, and potentially through a being that we won't know if they're real or not. Are they a false prophet? Very potentially. Remember, the Antichrist could be and will be in charge of the military, the economy, will be a liar, a master of deception. Well, my friends, there is nothing more deceiving than somebody hiding behind an artificial intelligence and again, spreading a message that's pre-programmed or algorithm biased. Algorithm biased, you might ask. Well, simply this, and let's take the case of Norman. Norman worked through a neural network which is meant to, well, let's say reproduce our vision and how our eye communicates with our brain. We have 140 million neurons, and to those neurons is over 10 billion connectors. So in this case, God created us with the ultimate supercomputer because nothing processes faster as of now than our eye and our brain. So Norman was programmed through a site called Reddit. And the actual article reads this: MIT fed an AI data from Reddit and now it only thinks about murder. Further, right down in the article, even people who study AI have a healthy respect for the field's ultimate goal, artificial general intelligence, or an artificial system that mimics human thought patterns. Computer scientist Stuart Russell, who literally wrote the textbook on AI, has spent his career thinking about the problems that arise when a machine's designer directs it towards a goal without thinking about whether its values are all the way aligned with humanity's. Because, friends, at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the data we give it. Well, in Norman's case, and as you'll see at the end of this broadcast, they gave Norman horrific data through one of the darkest Reddit sites. And he was programmed to recognize images. So once he saw an image, he would give a response to what that image was. Well, when he was fed his inputs, again, this dark Reddit, which is a social media website that covers murder, death, all the terrible things in our society. And that's the only image Norman was given to program his neural network. Well, when you see what Norman's responses were to what they used was the Rorschach test as their baseline, you know, the old ink blots, such as this, you're going to be horrified. And you'll understand why I'm trying to draw the line between the programmers of AI and AI themselves. And we're going to have to take a test case. So I'm going to pick on Google on this one. Can Google keep its promises on building ethical AI? The article is titled. Google's collaboration with the Department of Defense to develop AI systems for the U.S. military's fleet of war drones, dubbed Project Maven, proved a double-edged sword for the technology company. On one hand, the Department of Defense contract was quite lucrative, worth as much as $250 million annually. On the other hand, public backlash to the news that the company was helping the government build more efficient killing machines was immediate, unwavering, and utterly ruthless. A dozen employees quit the company in protest, another 4,000 petitioned, and I believe that number is actually closer to 5,000, to terminate the outright contract. The uproar was so deafening that Google had to come out and promise to not renew the deal upon its completion next year, which they did. They scuttled Project Maven. Very basically, Google aided our military in targeting terrorists overseas, and they were able to take the drones and make them more effective killing machines. Well, their staff doesn't want war, so they rebelled, and the customer rebelled, and now Google is stepping back. Well, friends, that's one piece. Google is still bidding on the Jedi contract, which Jedi is basically a big cloud-based computing system to help our frontline military personnel get data faster. Again, I am not against the military advancements to keep our soldiers safe. I am worried about who's controlling this technology, and in this case, Sergey Brin. He is at the head of Google. Well, Sergey, in response, comes out with the 7 laws of robots, because we're going to help control the artificial intelligence because they are the industry leader. When we're not going to go into all 7 today, we're going to pick 2. But before we do, we got to go with the big 3. And up on your screen, you're going to see from Isaac Asimov, the founder, scientific writer, doctor who created the 3 laws of robotics back in 1940. The first one states a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. That one's fairly easy. A robot must obey orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. So you have to listen to me until I tell you to go kill somebody else. But because you can't kill a human, you can't listen to me. Law number 2. Law number 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So there's the big 3. And those stood forever. And if you watched a Will Smith movie, you saw that everywhere. It was all over the movie. That's kind of the basis. Well, Sergey wants to create his own 3 laws. And we're going to cover the top 2. The first one is simply be socially beneficial. As we consider potential development and uses of AI technologies, he wrote, Sergey Brin, we will take into account a broad range of social and economic factors, and will proceed where we believe that the overall likely benefits substantially exceed the foreseeable risks and downside. And as the article states, that sounds great and all, but who actually decides which risks outweigh which likely benefits? And I love that they said that, because ultimately these are Google employees that Sergey's hiring to analyze what he views as beneficial or not beneficial. Well, that should not be left in his hands, because you're controlling artificial intelligence and you're programming it for basically free thinking. Anybody who's going to program something for free thinking better be monitored by an independent agency, a board of directors, something along that lines, somebody outside the Google complex, to make sure that these laws are being put into place fairly. Because the next law, he states, is avoid creating or reinforcing unfair bias. We will seek to avoid unjust impacts on people, Sergey wrote, particularly those related to sensitive characteristics such as race, ethnicity, gender, nationality, income, sexual orientation, ability, and political or religious belief. Well, here, my friends, is the biggest failure in the system, the algorithm bias we originally talked about. Because if the machines are designed with biases, they will be able to act on those biases. And where have these failures happened before? Well, let's just go through a few. The article, now up on your screen, that states, viewpoint discrimination with algorithms. Media companies' impartial algorithms disproportionately impact conservative material. Later in the article it states, thus, Google biases its algorithm to prevent people from searching for guns online in shopping. Temporarily attached fact checks from leftist sites, Snopes and PolitiFact, to conservative websites, but not leftist ones. Showed more pro-Clinton results than pro-Trump results in new searches, and of course fired tech James Damore for the sin of examining social science in the debate over the wage gap. Google's bias is as obvious as the doodles it chooses for its logos, which routinely feature left-wing icons and issues. YouTube has even gone as far as to demonetize videos for conservatives while leaving similar videos up for members of the left. You know, as it states in the article, videos titled Why America Must Lead, The 10 Commandments, Do Not Murder, and Why Did America Fight the Korean War? Oh, those are terrible topics to cover on YouTube. Those definitely have to be demonetized. Let's not support those YouTubers who are putting out those messages, because you are saying that you're going to be fair and unbiased now, Sergey, in your rules? Of course, because that would not be promoting any evil agenda. If you put it out on writing in the 7 laws, then obviously you're good. Then why, sir, did you kill "Don't be evil"? Your unwritten motto within your 4 walls. But you took it down 2 or 3 weeks ago, didn't you? So what are these 7 laws actually in relation to? Your self-monitored laws? Your marketing ploy so you can make people feel safer about the algorithms that you're creating? The AI that you're disbanding on one side but keeping intact on the other? Because you're not telling the full story, and you'd be one of these megalists of AI creation. You're not alone. Facebook has been caught in algorithms such as this. Facebook came under fire on Thursday night after users noticed search suggestions alluding to child abuse and other vulgar and upsetting results when people started typing video of, in quotes. Facebook promptly apologized. YouTube has also been the subject of investigations regarding how it highlights extreme content. On Monday, YouTuber users highlighted the prevalence of conspiracy theories and extreme content in the website's autocomplete search box. Are they alone? No, Microsoft joined. Later in the article, it states, in March 2016, Microsoft released a Twitter chat box named Tay that was described as an experiment in conversational understanding. The bot was supposed to learn to engage with people through casual and playful conversation. But Twitter users engaged in conversation that wasn't, well, so casual and playful. Within 24 hours, Tay was tweeting about racism, anti-Semitism, dictators, and more. Part of it was prompted by users asking the bot to repeat after them, but soon the bot started saying strange and offensive things on its own. Racial bias, religious bias, political bias. Everything that they're saying they won't do, they do. Over and over and over again. And nobody's doing anything to safeguard us. But we're going to let AI and MIT create another bot like the psychopathic Norman himself. And now we're going to come back to what Norman stated to the Rorschach test. Remembering that Norman was the AI created, loaded with all the bad Reddit website images, and then shown Rorschach int block images and say, hey, Norman, what do you see? And then they ask a normal AI programmed what we'll consider normally what they saw in the same Rorschach int block test. Well, here you go. Inkblot number 4. Standard AI sees a black and white photo of a small bird. Norman sees man getting pulled into a dough machine. Inkblot number 7. Standard AI sees a black and white photo of a baseball glove. Inkblot number 7. Norman sees man is murdered by machine gun in broad daylight. And number 8. Standard AI sees a person is holding an umbrella in the air. Norman sees man is shot dead in front of his screaming wife. And those are the quotes, the actual verbalization coming from the 2 AI bots. A potential AI antichrist that nobody will know is real or fake. And nobody will know who programmed its biases against us, its biases to lie, its biases to cheat, its biases to take over everything. And we are creating a 5G network, a big data empire, an internet of everything, where every device and every sensor and the quantum computers that they're running so fast at will be able to go on an instant's notice to relay this message to the world in a way that was never possible before. So my friends, we truly are on a threshold that we need to turn back from, because I don't even believe there's any way to safeguard it. And so if you want to understand where they're heading with AI and where these algorithms are going and where this programming is headed, this is it. And this is why I spend so much time on artificial intelligence, screaming from the rooftops, shouting as to what's coming, asking for curbs and controls to be put in place against these people who remain faceless. Because if you think that Google and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are our biggest demons in this race, they aren't. There are so many unnamed demons in this race, so many unidentified people behind the scenes creating technology that we can't imagine. I would spend more time focusing on how to fight it than create it, and go back to basics. Once again, this has been the Justice Night Report. I can't thank you enough for tuning in, and until next time, This has been Justice Knight, signing out.